The air was crisp, leaves crunched underfoot. Halloween night had finally arrived in Eldridge. The town was alive with excitement. Costumes filled the streets. Kids were out trick-or-treating. But a group of teenagers had something else in mind. They were headed for Old Holloway House. The house stood on a hill overlooking the town. It had been empty for years. Locals whispered about it being haunted. Stories circulated about its former resident, Agnes Holloway, who vanished one Halloween. No one dared go near it, except for tonight. The teenagers stood at the foot of the hill. Their breath formed clouds in the chilly air. A thick fog rolled in, casting an eerie glow on everything. It was the perfect night for a scare.
"You sure about this, guys?" Emily asked, her voice barely a whisper. She clutched her bag of candy closer. The others tried to hide their nervousness.
"Don't be scared, Em," Jake said, trying to sound brave. "It's just an old house. What could go wrong?" He didn't sound too convinced himself, but there was no turning back now, not with everyone watching.
They began their ascent. The fog clung to them, cold and damp. The old iron gate creaked as they pushed it open. The sound echoed through the silence. They walked up the overgrown path. Each step brought them closer to the imposing house. The windows were dark, like empty eyes staring out at them. The paint peeled from the walls. It was like the house itself was trying to scare them away. They reached the front porch. The floorboards groaned under their weight. They were really doing this. The front door creaked open, as if inviting them in. The sound echoed through the empty halls, a haunting melody that seemed to beckon them forward. The smell hit them first, musty and old, like something long forgotten. It was a scent that carried the weight of years, of memories buried deep within the walls. Dust particles danced in the faint moonlight, filtering through the grimy windows. Each speck seemed to tell a story of neglect and abandonment, of a time when the house was full of life. Cobwebs hung from every corner, like delicate lace woven by unseen hands. They stepped inside, feeling the weight of the past pressing down on them. The floorboards creaked under their weight, each step a reminder of the house's age and fragility. It was as if the house itself was whispering secrets to them. Every sound seemed amplified in the silence. The creak of the floor, the rustle of their clothes, even their own breathing seemed loud and intrusive. They tiptoed further into the house, their footsteps hesitant and cautious. Each step was a journey into the unknown, a venture into the heart of the mystery. Their eyes slowly adjusted to the darkness, revealing more of the house's secrets. Shadows loomed large, creating shapes that seemed to move and shift. Shadows danced on the walls, playing tricks on their minds. Every flicker of light seemed to bring the shadows to life, making them question what was real. A cold breeze brushed past them, sending shivers down their spines. It was a chill that seemed to come from nowhere, a reminder of the house's eerie presence. Was it just the wind or something else? The question lingered in the air, unanswered and unsettling. They weren't sure they wanted to find out. The house held its secrets close, and they were just beginning to uncover its mysteries. Each step forward was a step deeper into the unknown, and they couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. They explored the house room by room. Each one was filled with dusty old furniture and forgotten belongings. It was like stepping back in time.
What do you think?
In what seemed like the house's study, they found a dusty old diary lying on a table. Its leather cover was worn. The pages were brittle and yellowed with age. The writing was elegant and flowing, difficult to decipher in the dim light.
"It's Agnes's diary,"
Emily breathed, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and fascination. They huddled together, their hearts pounding as Mia read aloud. The diary entries spoke of a young woman named Agnes. She was a vibrant soul, full of life and creativity. Her handwriting was elegant, each word carefully chosen to reflect her thoughts and emotions. She loved Halloween and looked forward to it every year. The excitement of the season was palpable in her writings. Agnes would start planning her costumes months in advance, pouring her heart and soul into every stitch and detail. She wrote about the elaborate costumes she would create, each one more intricate than the last. Her passion for sewing was evident, and she took great pride in her work. The costumes were not just outfits, they were expressions of her creativity and joy. And the joy of handing out treats to the children of Eldridge was something she cherished deeply. She described the laughter and excitement of the children, their faces lighting up as they received her handmade treats. Halloween was a magical time for Agnes, a time when the community came together in celebration. But her happy entries took a dark turn. The once joyful pages began to fill with fear and uncertainty. The handwriting became more frantic, the words more desperate. She began writing about strange occurrences in the house, unexplained noises that echoed through the halls at night, footsteps that seemed to come from nowhere, objects moving on their own as if guided by an unseen hand. The once cozy home had become a place of dread and unease, and a feeling of being watched. Agnes wrote about the sensation of eyes following her every move, a presence that seemed to lurk in the shadows, always just out of sight. Fear seeped through the pages of the diary. The entries became shorter, more disjointed, as if she was struggling to find the words to describe her terror. The last entry sent chills down their spines. It was a desperate plea for help, a final cry from a young woman who felt trapped and alone.
Agnes wrote about a presence in the house. She described it as a dark, malevolent force that seemed to grow stronger with each passing day. She felt something was terribly wrong. The fear in her words was palpable, a stark contrast to the joy and excitement of her earlier entries.
That entry was dated October 30th, years ago. It was the last anyone ever heard from Agnes Holloway. Her disappearance remains a mystery, a haunting tale that lingers in the town of Eldridge. That was the last anyone ever heard from Agnes Holloway. Her story is a chilling reminder of the unknown, a tale that continues to captivate and terrify those who hear it. The old house still stands, a silent witness to the events that unfolded within its walls. And the diary, with its final haunting entry, remains a testament to the fear and mystery that surrounded Agnes's last days.
As Mia read the last entry, a gust of wind blew through the house, slamming a door shut. The sudden noise echoed through the empty halls, sending shivers down their spines. The old house seemed to come alive with every creak and groan, as if it were trying to communicate with them.
They jumped, their hearts pounding in their chests. The fear was palpable, and they could almost hear each other's rapid breathing. The darkness seemed to close in around them, making every shadow a potential threat.
They were no longer sure if they were imagining things. Every sound, every flicker of light made them question their sanity. The house was playing tricks on their minds, and they had to stay focused.
They had to do something. Standing around in fear wouldn't help them find the locket. They needed a plan, a strategy to uncover the secrets hidden within these walls.
They decided to search for clues. Gathering their courage, they huddled together and discussed their next steps. Each of them had a role to play in this eerie treasure hunt. Agnes's diary mentioned a locket, her most prized possession. The pages were filled with cryptic notes and heartfelt entries, hinting at the locket's significance. She wrote about hiding it somewhere safe in the house. The diary hinted at secret compartments and hidden places, making their task even more challenging.
They looked everywhere, carefully sifting through the dusty belongings. Every drawer, every shelf, every nook and cranny was meticulously examined. The air was thick with dust, making it hard to breathe.
Finally, behind a loose floorboard in what was once Agnes's bedroom, they found it. The discovery was almost surreal, as if the house had finally decided to reveal its secret. The locket was silver, shaped like a heart, and engraved with the initials AH. It was beautiful yet haunting, a relic from a bygone era. It felt strangely cold to the touch. The chill seemed to seep into their bones, as if the locket carried with it the weight of Agnes's memories and secrets. They knew this was just the beginning of their journey.
They gathered in the center of the room, holding the locket.
The house, which had felt heavy and oppressive, felt lighter, as if a weight had been lifted.
The air was no longer thick with dread.
Agnes, are you here? Emily whispered, her voice trembling.
They waited, holding their breath. A gentle breeze swept through the house, rustling the curtains. The feeling of being watched was gone, replaced by a sense of peace. It was like Agnes was finally at rest.
They knew then what they had to do. They would honor Agnes's memory and make sure her story was told.
The next day they told the town about Agnes and what they found. The townspeople, touched by the story, came together to clean and restore the house. They turned it into a library filled with Agnes's favorite books. Agnes's diary was displayed in a glass case, a reminder of her spirit and the importance of remembering. The locket was placed on top of the diary, gleaming softly in the light. Old Holloway House was no longer a place of fear. The house on the hill became a place of warmth and laughter. Every Halloween, children in costumes would visit, eager to hear the story of Agnes Holloway. They left flowers and candles in her memory. The legend of Agnes Holloway lived on, not as a scary story, but as a reminder that even in the darkest of places there is always hope. And sometimes all it takes is a whisper in the shadows to bring peace to a restless soul.